Now, I just tried dry fitting it and realized that I've got to do a little bit of grinding on my Dremel right here. You see this really nasty gouge right here? It's clearly where one of the rollers, when they broke, got caught in there and damaged that. And there's a little, on the back edge of the gouge, there's a raised edge of metal right there where my fingernail is. And that's actually sticking up proud of this area here. So I need to just get that a little bit cleaned up. So here's a little grinding attachment on my Dremel. Alright, that made quick work of that. That's nice and smooth. There's also a damaged spot on the other side. Let's see if that one's the same issue. Not as bad, but a little bit, so I'll hit that one too. And this has got a beveled edge on it. I wonder whether or not I could get this started with just a little bit of light tapping. Yeah, it's going pretty good. You know, it starts to cock a little bit, so then you just tap it on the opposite side of where you see, you know, the high spot. On the high spot, the opposite of the low spot. Just keep doing that, and it's actually going in. So I don't think I'm going to need the press to push this in. Getting there. Getting a good shot on it with the hammer over here is kind of tough because of this. It's now down below this area right here, so I'm going to use this very blunt chisel to tap it. Almost there. I would have used the press if I had an arbor that fit inside here, but this is huge, so I wouldn't have enough to fit in there really well. And I could have put like maybe a piece of steel across here, flat stock, but then I'd be pressing in the middle and it wouldn't work very well unless I use some really heavy duty stuff. It seems to be working fine. The other problem is that I can't guarantee that I'm going to be able to keep this perfectly upright while I'm pressing it. The reason is because remember how this outer edge is kind of chewed up. It's not going to sit flat. Alright, that should do it. And that's pretty much fully seated. One of the ways I can tell is because I can look in through this opening here. I can actually see that that bottom edge is sitting on that ridge. And on the back side here I can't really see it, but I can feel it. And it looks pretty square, so I think we're good. Well, there was a little glob of this grease that I was talking about down in here. I missed that spot with the parts washer, and I fished it out so you can get a look at it. And you know, the grease, when it gets old, especially the older formulations of grease, lots of times they can transform into a kind of nasty concoction that doesn't give you much lubrication and can actually just clog things up more than anything. Next step is to install the new rollers on the gear shaft. So I've mounted it in the vise. I'm using a rag to protect these splines down here and the threads from any damage. And I'm just holding it enough so that I can easily, hopefully, put these on. Now, in order to aid getting these to stay on, this is straight out of the service manual. It actually recommends using heavy grease to kind of stick these in place while you're struggling with that ring. So I was about to go get my tub of grease and get ready to get real messy and smear grease on here and hope that the bearings stick on there and you know, hope that I can get the clip on without them falling off and the greasy bearings hitting the floor and getting all dirty. And then it occurred to me, maybe I could think of a better way to do this. I thought of an elastic band, and then I found a little tray of elastic bands up in the kitchen there. We've got a bunch of these, which, if you don't know what these are, it's like a wide elastic band, but it actually says produce of the USA. These are actually little rubber things that they sometimes put on the bunches of broccoli in the supermarket. So, you know, they're always too small, it seems, to use for anything, but guess what I think they're going to be perfect for here. So check it out. I put it on the lower edge. And here's my basic plan, to load these in slowly. Alright, I've got 2, 4, 6, 8 in so far. I think that leaves like 11 more to go. I'll be honest with you, on my first attempt, 4 of them went flying. But then I moved the elastic band up so it's sitting in the groove. And that seems to be working fine. Okay, got them all in there. I started out by alternating one original bearing with one original roller with one of the homemade rollers. But then near the end I had to go 2 homemades to 1 original just because I was starting to run out. I had a lot more broken ones than I did good ones. So now the trick is going to be I've got to get this clip onto this outside area without losing these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand the clip to see if I can get it over just this top area and then kind of pull the elastic band out of the way as I slip this down. So just give you an idea what I'm talking about. I've got this into the top position here. Now if I can carefully get that elastic band out of the way and pop this down into the groove. Boy, I can't get over how loosely this clip goes around these rollers. I mean, it doesn't really seem to be. I mean, if I gave this a light shake, they would just fall right out. So I'm assuming that when you put it in to the race there, it's gonna retain it somehow. I hope. All right, so I'm kind of holding it with my fingers, keeping them all in position. Now I gotta try and get it into there. This is tricky to get this in there. I try tapping in a little bit, and that just forces the rollers that aren't going in to want to pop off the groove, and that makes it even worse. So that's not going to work. Yeah, this is going to be a trick and a half. This ain't working. I get a couple of them popped in on this side, and then there's a couple on this side that won't pop in. And then if I try and pop those in, it flexes the ring and it pops them out on the other side. So I can't get a point where they're all getting started so that I can just drive this in and have them follow it in. It's not working. Not working at all. Well, that ain't working. I'm really beginning to wish I had checked to see if all of those rollers with this clip would go in and fit properly into this race before I put this race in here. Because it'd be a lot easier to hold that in my hand and work it on there to see if it was okay. Because what happens now is when I'm putting this in and it's going through the new bushing, that shaft doesn't want to really rock or move very much, so it's more difficult to say the least to do it this way. It's not like I could press that bearing in with the rollers all in one shot. That's not the way it's supposed to be done. The way it's supposed to be done is the way that I'm attempting to do it, which is that the race is supposed to already be installed. You put the rollers onto the shaft, install the clip, and then slide the whole assembly in. But it just seems like that's way too tight. And my OD on all these rollers is correct because it's standard. So I don't know. Not sure. Looks like the grooves on some of these homemade rollers aren't correct. And what's happening is I'm not getting clearance. So if I hold this up on the side there, you can actually see that that's actually not even contacting the bearing surfaces. So that should have been ground down to a smaller diameter on that one. So I'm going to have to go through and check all of my homemade ones and see if I have enough extras here to make up for any ones that are deficient. And if not, then I'm going to have to try and painstakingly grind these grooves a little bit smaller. Either that or set up my whole setup and make some more. I certainly have more drill stock left, but I'd rather not do that if I don't have to. But I think I'm going to quit for tonight.